the incarnation of destruction.
All right. And we're live, and basically I've been kind of just covering this update. Apparently, two quick things. The president has enabled the Defense Production Act, which would allow, I believe, certain facets of the military in order to help ramp up production. I remember Senator Rubio had mentioned this the other day, as well as some other people, as well as there is a soft close with the border to Canada. So by that I mean Canada in and of itself, can't just travel over for leisure stuff, although we're still going to have supply chain logistics going on. Let me just adjust my little settings so we can make sure everybody can hear everything that the president has to say, because I'm obviously a noob and didn't do this before. But all right, let's get to what's going on.
Thank you very much. I would like to begin by announcing some important developments in our war against the Chinese virus. We'll be invoking the Defense Production Act just in case we need it. In other words, I think you all know what it is, and it can do a lot of good things if we need it, and we will have it all completed, signing it in just a little while, right after I'm finished with this conference. I'll be signing it. It's prepared to go. So we will be invoking the Defense Production Act. Last week I signed an emergency declaration under the Stafford Act, which, as you know, we invoked previously, and which activated FEMA's National Response Coordination Center. FEMA now is fully engaged at the highest levels. Today, FEMA is activated in every region. We are at level one being the highest level, which we will
We've shut the entire country
work
down.
with, and we've been working with FEMA. I've done a lot of work with FEMA.
Most
They're
of it.
incredible. It's always been on hurricanes or tornadoes. They're right now in Tennessee, a large group working in Tennessee have been incredible. That was a tragic event. Alabama last year, also a tornado, and then obviously the numerous hurricanes in different locations that were, in some cases, very devastating, and in every case, FEMA came through. This is a very different kind of a work for FEMA, but they will come through, as they always do. We have tremendous people, tremendous talent in FEMA. We're sending, upon request, the two hospital ships. They're being prepared right now. They're massive ships. They're the big white ships with the Red Cross on the sides.
Those are the Red
One
Cross
is called the
ships.
Mercy, and the other is called the Comfort. And they are in tip-top shape. They soon will be. They're getting ready to come up to New York. I spoke with Governor Cuomo about it. He's excited about it. And
You're gonna do floating hospitals?
We haven't made the final determination as to where it's going to go on the West Coast.
I mean,
The
did it work
Comfort
out
is,
well for
located
the
now,
cruise lines weren't set up for
in
that.
San Diego, and it's going to be. We'll be picking the destination fairly shortly. So those two ships are being prepared to go, and they can be launched over the next week or so, depending on need. Earlier this week, the first
different
clinical
strategy.
trial of the vaccine candidate for the virus began in Washington State, as you probably know.
First injection on
The
Monday.
genetic sequence of the virus was first published in January, but thanks to the unprecedented partnership between the FDA, NIH, and the private sector, we've reached human trials for the vaccine just 8 weeks later. That's a record by many, many months. It used to take years to do this, and now we did it just in a very short while.
Trying times
That's the
call for trying
fastest
measures.
development in history of what we're doing with regard to the vaccine. We're making very, very big progress. Today, I can announce further steps to expand testing capacity. We're working with several groups to determine if the self-swab, a much easier process than the current process that's not very nice to do.
Basically, they stick the swab all the way to the back of your nasal cavity, so
We have a current process
a little
that's
bit more
a little bit
invasive, I guess.
difficult. If you
But
have it
other
done,
tests weren't accurate.
The groups are working on determining if a self-swab by an individual is as effective as the other. The other is very effective, very accurate.
We were getting a lot of false positives and even negatives, so
would be a lot more popular.
I don't know. It would be,
so,
but
and that would be administered also by a health official, but it would be a lot easier to
shoving Q-tip-like materials up into their sinuses. I only say this from experience.
Fact is that the health professionals would free up a lot. Let me just say, the self swab is what it is. It's a self swab. You do it yourself. The other has to be issued by a health professional, and it's something that is quite difficult. And we think it's working out for the self swab. And if it would test positive, the people would go and they would do what they have to do. But we think that's probably working out. I've asked the FDA to cut through the red tape and reduce regulatory barriers.
So he's kind of trying to do like an Ancestry.com style thing.
Things, and I'm going to be holding a second news
Take
conference.
Take your sample yourself, put it in the thingy, and mail it out.
Some things are happening that are quite exciting.
Prevent people from having to be in full gear to administer the test. So
today or tomorrow, fairly
the accuracy
tomorrow.
Concerns me.
So we'll see what happens. But the FDA, my instructions is I've been working very, very hard on a number of developments, and we'll be discussing them with you later today or tomorrow. And this afternoon, I'll be meeting with nurses on the front lines of the battle against the virus. They're truly American heroes. They want to get it done. They're incredible people. So we're going to be meeting
all
with
our medical
nurses.
Professionals, all the folks within the logistical supply chain, the stores.
They're brave. They're taking a lot of risk, and they have done an incredible job, and they never complain. Today, I'm also announcing that the Department of Housing and Urban Development is providing immediate relief to renters and homeowners by suspending all foreclosures and evictions until the end of April. So we're working very closely with Dr. Ben Carson.
If you throw people out on the streets, it's like, well, where are they going to go? They're going to go wherever they can, try to seek shelter.
Sacrifices for the good of the nation.
Well, concerns about Cali.
People in
a very large homeless population. What are you going to do?
They wanted to fight so badly because they love our country. Workers refused to go home and slept on factory floors to keep assembly lines running. And, the numbers of ships that they built during World War II to this day has nothing like that has ever been equaled. They were doing ships literally on a daily basis. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And to this day, nobody's seen anything like that, what they were able to do during World War II.
Ship a month plus
and now
all
it's
the
our
other
time. We must
construction.
sacrifice together because we are all in this together, and we'll come through together. It's the invisible enemy. That's always the toughest enemy, the invisible enemy. But we're going to defeat the invisible enemy. I think we're going to do it even faster than we thought.
That's the thing. Once the Americans we put our minds to something, we're going to get it done.
So we'll have a second conference, again, having to do with the FDA and this. I think it's going to be potentially
we just need most folks to go in the same direction, like World War II, the space race and stuff.
And
a lot of folks are kind of all over the place because of a number of reasons.
Say a few words, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. The White House Coronavirus Task Force met this morning, and now that we have cases.
All right. So just to reiterate really quickly, the president basically after this news conference, he said he's going to be signing in the Defense Authorization Act, or the Defense Production Act, basically allowing facets of the military to help ramp up production. In my opinion, the reason why he didn't necessarily do this before at the behooves of Senator Rubio and some other folks is because if he just immediately did everything, everyone just, I do kind of think it's going to maybe invite panic and stuff like that. And that's something that we don't necessarily want to happen. We want to make sure that people stay calm, we continue on. But here's the thing, it's like we are living in a different world. I know the UK, they're taking a completely different tactic to this. Apparently they're doing the whole keep calm and carry on, try to do some social distancing, wash your hands and stuff a lot more. Boris Johnson has received some criticism for it, while at the same time, it does kind of remind me of like the old chickenpox parties back in the day, whereas, well, if everybody kind of does get sick, then you can kind of deal with it, and it will pass through, and then you'll develop some herd immunity. I mean, I guess you could do that as long as the system can handle that. So, I mean, as long as the NHS is up to the challenge for dealing with a lot of sick people and just filling up a lot of those beds and everything, I mean, I don't live over there, so I couldn't tell you what's best to do. I've heard it's not an insane thing to do, but it's a different technique, so. But, yeah, those are the president's remarks. I'll toss the link to the actual White House conference in the description below, but, hey. These are trying times. All I know is it seems like most of the world is shutting down for a couple of weeks, and Brady's moving on. So these are trying times. Peace out, everybody. Be safe. And then we hit the doodly-doo. We've hit